This is my seminar on abortion and healthcare in the Roman Catholic Church and Reformed Judaism. This is essentially an investigation of the sanctity of life, the beginning of personhood, gender roles, and tradition, presented by ShaoEn. Let's begin first with the history and beliefs of the Roman Catholic Church. The Catholic Church started when Jesus said to his apostle Peter, "You are the rock on which I will build my church. The gates of hell will not prevail against it," and ever since then, each pope has been an unbroken line of succession. Roman Catholics follow the Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed. The Apostles' Creed was written by the apostles of Jesus themselves and precedes the Nicene Creed, which was written 100 years later. The Nicene Creed is also more expressive and precise, whereas the Apostles' Creed aims to memorize Catholic beliefs more generally. The Apostles' Creed highlights some of the key beliefs of Roman Catholicism, which are the belief in the Holy Trinity, which encompasses the manifestation of God in three beings: God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And they also believe that Jesus is the incarnation of God on earth. Roman Catholics also have very traditional views and lean towards more politically conservative, as they reject the views of relativism. This is a theory that states that there is no objective truth. Thus, they believe that the ethical dilemma in abortion shouldn't be dependent on cultural or situational conditions. Now let's move on to the history and beliefs of Reformed Judaism. So Reformed Judaism is essentially the incorporation of traditional Jewish laws, beliefs, and practices into modern society. It is also commonly referred to as liberal or progressive Judaism. Its roots are in the traditional Jewish teachings of one God, or monotheism, the Torah, and Zionism, though there are some exceptions to this. Reformed Judaism has non-binding Jewish laws that encourage the autonomous and independent action and thought of the individual. Therefore, some individuals can be Jewish, particularly Reformed Jewish, and also anti-Zionist. In the same regard, participating in dietary restrictions are individual choices that can be made to enhance the experience of the religion, but are not required. This is outlined in the 1885 document, the Pittsburgh Platform. The Reform movement is primarily liberal, with progressive ideologies in gender equality and diversity. This is demonstrated in their ordaining of women and gay people as rabbis, and their active participation in social justice movements, as well as the affirmation of inclusive policies. Now, some key differences between the Roman Catholic Church and Reformed Judaism are that Roman Catholics believe in the Holy Trinity and that Jesus is a Messiah sent by God, whereas in Reformed Judaism, the Holy Scripture is the Torah, which is the Hebrew Bible. This contains the first 5 books, which are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which make up the Old Testament, essentially rejecting the New Testament, which Catholics believe in. With regards to abortion, the Roman Catholic Church believes that in no circumstance, even when the mother's life is at risk, is abortion prohibited. Whereas in Reformed Judaism, in all circumstances, the decision to terminate a pregnancy should be made by the individual in whose body the fetus is growing. Now, my thesis is that the approaches of the Roman Catholic Church and Reformed Judaism on abortion reflect their levels of religiosity and years of imposed gender norms. Reformed Judaism takes a stance on abortion that is better for society, as it values sentient life, promotes autonomy, and emphasizes sexual health. This creates a means for women's liberation and agency through healthcare compared to the reinforcement of the patriarchy. First and foremost, let's talk about the beginning of personhood, which is the point at which a fetus is considered to be human. This seeks to answer the question, is the fetus considered a person at the moment of conception? So in Roman Catholicism, personhood begins at conception, meaning that the value of an embryo or fetus is equivalent to any other human life, as demonstrated in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5, which states, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you." In Reformed Judaism, however, personhood begins at birth. The Babylonian Talmud, which is the central text second in authority to the Torah, states that the fetus is considered to be water until the 40th day and subhuman until birth. Now, if personhood begins at conception, but all vertebrate fetuses don't have consciousness, is it in the sole fact that a human fetus is a human life which makes it innately more valuable? Most people wouldn't have a problem with aborting any other fetus species like a dog or a pig or a dolphin, which essentially means that human life is inherently more valuable. However, no vertebrate species gains consciousness at conception. Therefore, the Roman Catholic Church is essentially arguing that the possibility of sentient life is what makes the human life more valuable. However, sentient life could also result in a serial killer or someone who commits many sins. And if we're taking on a utilitarian perspective on this, they are essentially impeding the lives of others. Therefore, I believe that the Reformed Jew perspective on the beginning of personhood is more rational, as it values the already present sentient life, which is a mother's life, not the mere possibility of sentient life. Now, moving on to the sanctity of life. The sanctity or inviolability. Now, let's move on to the sanctity of life. The sanctity or inviolability of life is the principle that human life is valuable, sacred, and should be protected. This addresses a pro-life argument that abortion is murder, which most Catholics believe in. Now, the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith states that the human being is to be respected and treated as a person from the moment of conception, and therefore from that same moment, his rights as a person must be recognized, among which, in the first place, is the inviolable right of every innocent human being to life, found in Section 1. They also believe in the idea that everybody is created in the image of God. Therefore, having an abortion is destroying the natural order, which is perfect as it is made by God. In Reformed Judaism, however, the Jewish value kavod habriut, which is the value of respecting human dignity and needs, holds the Reformed Jewish belief that the decision to abort the fetus should be made by the individual in whose body the fetus is growing. According to Rabbi Julie Zupan, life is sacred, and the life or well-being of an existing life should be prioritized over the potential for one. This is also stated in the Babylonian Talmud, which follows the Torah and contains applications and interpretations to the laws written in the Torah, which states, if a woman who is having trouble giving birth, her life comes before its life. Now, in my opinion, life is valuable, but that doesn't always mean that taking away a life is unjustifiable. Take the example of a violent intruder. If somebody has broken into your home and is threatening you and your family with death, would you kill them in order to survive and protect others? If your answer is yes, I don't believe that you are in the wrong. The court would also say the same. Additionally, in some cases, women who have IUDs will conceive a zygote but prevent its implantation, which effectively kills the zygote or the human life. I don't think that makes women with IUDs murderers, however. There is a hierarchy to what everybody considers valuable, and while some people might not kill somebody else in self-defense, that doesn't mean that nobody should be allowed to kill someone else in self-defense. Similarly, if a woman decides to not have an abortion because she believes that all life is valuable, that doesn't mean that all women shouldn't be allowed abortions. Now, we are looking at gender roles and gender equality. These are culturally and socially determined expected behaviors, attitudes, and characteristics that are desirable for individuals based on their gender. In the Catholic Bible, there are a couple Bible verses which reinforce patriarchal standards. These include Timothy chapter 2, verse 12, which state, I do not permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet. And Colossians chapter 3, verse 18, which states, wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord. Now, Reformed Judaism, however, has consistently advocated for the complete and equal participation of women in society. This is demonstrated by their ordaining of women and LGBTQ people as rabbis, which breaks down barriers and holds both women and men to the same standard. Now, more than anything, feminism is about creating equal opportunities, safety, and most importantly, agency for women as men have it. The tradwife lifestyle that the Roman Catholic Church pushes for is not accepting of the choice that should be for all women to make decisions for themselves. Being in support of the Roman Catholic Church's view of women is being in support that they are never allowed to exercise authority, take leadership positions, or overrule their husbands, which is misogynistic. Whether a woman wants to pursue family and marriage or to pursue a career, it should be the woman's decision. And again, abortion is the woman's decision. Reform Judaism gets it right again as they advocate for feminism, which is advocating for the agency and independence of women. Thus, women should have freedom over their body and their life. Procreation and contraception. Procreation is a biological process of producing offspring, whereas contraception is the use of methods to prevent pregnancy. Now, as we have seen so far, most of the Roman Catholic Church's teachings stem from maintaining natural order as set by God. This doesn't change regarding procreation. It is believed that the primary end of sex is procreation and the rearing of children. Thus, the couple cannot thwart procreation. Contraception has also long been thought of as promiscuous. This is why the Roman Catholic Church forbids any form of contraception, any form of artificial contraception, as they believe that is intrinsically evil and could be considered murder. In Genesis chapter 38, verse 9, it states that he spilled the semen on the ground, and each time he slept with his brother's wife, and what he did was displeasing in the sight of the Lord, and he slew him. Now, in Reformed Judaism, however, the decision to use birth control is placed on the individual conscience of the woman, and they do not condemn any social or economic reasons any more than medical reasons. I believe that the Reformed Jewish opinion on birth control is much more nuanced and encourages sexual health. The Church turns a blind eye to the fact that many women who are on the pill for menstrual regulation, reducing menstrual pain, endometriosis, ovarian cysts, acne, and many more reasons other than simply preventing contraception. Denying women contraception is denying women of their right to sexual health resources. Now, moving on to our last and final topic, abortion laws, which are how both religions govern abortion. In the Roman Catholic Church, they say that abortion should be illegal in every circumstance. The Catechism of the Catholic Church states that since the first century, the Church has affirmed the moral evil of every procured abortion. This teaching has not changed and remains unchangeable. Direct abortion, that is to say, abortion willed either as an end or a means, is gravely contrary to the moral law. In Reformed Judaism, however, pregnant individuals have complete autonomy over whether to abort, regardless if their life is at risk. Now, I believe that abortion is ultimately a healthcare procedure which shouldn't be governed by laws. It is an individual's choice to be made between themselves and their doctor, not the church and the government. Therefore, Reformed Judaism is more encompassing of an individual woman's rights to their own thoughts and desires for their own life. Now, in conclusion, anti-abortion arguments are rooted in the Church's teachings, which shouldn't affect people who don't follow Roman Catholicism and how they should live their lives. Pro-abortion means creating agency for women to decide what's best for themselves. And for some people, this means not getting abortion and believing in the sanctity of life, while others who don't have those values can decide otherwise. At the end of the day, abortion is such a complex topic which reflects many facets of society, like religion, government, and feminism. However, I believe that it is important to recognize autonomous thought. Women should be liberated from any strict laws that govern their access to healthcare, and thus creating agency and empowerment. Thank you for listening.